Rage Against the Machine had one of the most viral breakthrough albums of all time, and the intense story behind it. Their initial album was one of the biggest of the 1990s, but how did this happen? Let's break it down and explore the viral breakthrough of Rage Against the Machine. It was a Sunday evening in February when Rage Against the Machine released their single, Killing in the Name Of. Most listeners had never heard of the band before, so when presenter Bruno Brooks announced it had entered the charts at number 27 and queued it up, few could have predicted what would happen next. Still, the inability to predict the success that Rage Against the Machine's album would eventually have was no match for the intensity of the song itself. It was angry, political, and loud, yet catchy enough to draw in listeners from across various genres. This song began with a coiled guitar and tense bass line, coupled with the rapper's angry verses about police racism. Then, it seemed to explode with the chorus's famous line, which was repeated 16 times. There was plenty of foul language used here, which only served to add to the intensity of the song. This was during a time period when rock and rap were not often mixed, making the song stand out even more. The combination of the loud music, potent lyrics, and angry chorus was enough to draw in listeners from both genres, and Rage Against the Machine soon had a dedicated fan base. But believe it or not, the incredible breakthrough that Rage Against the Machine had with this song was marred with controversy. What about it was controversial? Well, the cursing wasn't supposed to be aired. The BBC had received a censored version of the song, but they made the mistake of playing the unedited version on live radio. Understandably, this caused an uproar and generated a lot of complaints, resulting in presenter Bruno Brooks being suspended for the week. However, this just added to the intensity of the song and its story, resulting in an even greater success when it was released on the band's debut album. Airing a song is one thing, but airing an extremely controversial version will just add to the viral success of the album. Rage Against the Machine quickly became one of the most talked about bands of the 90s, with their intense and personal lyrics becoming a rallying cry for those fed up with the status quo. With a new generation of bands beginning to create songs with advocacy, it seems like Rage Against the Machine had perfect timing. In reality, however, this perfect timing had nothing to do with planning, but was the result of pure luck. The members of Rage Against the Machine had been in various bands before, but they all bonded over their hard-left political views and a determination to make music that they believed in. Because of this, the band quickly gained a dedicated fan base that bought into their advocacy and message. "I wanted to ensure the protection of this band's integrity," Zach said in an interview, and continued on to explain that their words had to be backed up by actions. Because they were dealing with this huge, monstrous pop culture that has a tendency to suck everything that is culturally resistant to it into it, in order to pacify it and make it non-threatening. Though their message and advocacy were the driving force behind their success, the band also knew that their sound was key. Their rap metal punk rock was something that had never been heard before, and it quickly gained them an even wider audience. Like many bands that found success, Rage Against the Machine had to start somewhere. That place was a party in Huntington Beach, Orange County, California. There were no vocals for Killing in the Name Of yet, but the audience was still electrified by the sound that only the band could create. The first show set off a series of events that would lead to an even bigger breakthrough when they signed up on tour with Public Enemy in March. The tour itself was full of controversy due to the racism and hysteria surrounding gangster rap acts such as NWA and Ice-T at the time. But instead of avoiding this controversy, Rage Against the Machine embraced it and used it to their advantage. Though law enforcement officials tried to shut down some of their shows, none of these attempts were successful. The powerful mix of sounds and messages that Rage Against the Machine had created was enough to capture the attention of massive amounts of listeners, and their album eventually sold over 15 million copies. Rage Against the Machine had to break into the mainstream in some fashion, and so Killing in the Name Of was chosen as the method to break into the UK. It was a brilliant decision, as this song quickly became an anthem for those fed up with the status quo. Given the incendiary lyrical subject matter, there was surprisingly little input from Epic Records when it came to creating the song. The band held their ground on keeping the line, "Now you're under control," and managed to create a powerful message that resonated with listeners across genres. Although the band had no idea when coming up with the song that it would be as successful as it eventually was, they knew they had created something powerful. Tom Morello's riff on the guitar was catchy and intense, and Zach De La Rocha's verses were angry and urgent. With just a few small sparks and a few songs in the right places, Rage Against the Machine's momentum began to steadily grow. With a mix of their political views, the advocacy of their lyrics, and the intensity of their sound, they were quickly becoming a lightning rod for the alt-rock movement. The band became increasingly vocal about their political views and advocacy in 1993, when they protested censorship by taking to the stage of a Lollapalooza festival show in Philadelphia naked, apart from gaff tape over their mouths. This move further increased the awareness of Rage Against the Machine and only served to sharpen the political edge of their music. Even now, over 25 years after its release, Rage Against the Machine's debut album still holds up as a landmark in the rap metal genre and is an excellent example of a viral breakthrough story. It's not like Rage Against the Machine had any idea what was going to happen when they released their single, Killing in the Name Of. But by challenging the status quo and standing up for what they believed in, they created the perfect storm to ignite a fan base unlike anything before it. Rage Against the Machine might be a band that plenty of people know about today, but it was their viral breakthrough that made them the iconic band that they are today. By taking risks, embracing controversy, and delivering powerful messages with their music, Rage Against the Machine managed to capture the attention of millions and create a dedicated fan base that still listens to their music over 25 years later. There's nothing more powerful than a band that stands up for what they believe in, and Rage Against the Machine is the perfect example of one. They were determined to make music that mattered, and their viral breakthrough story is a testament to this determination. But what are your thoughts on Rage Against the Machine? Do you believe that their music still holds up today? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.